Hello and welcome into another edition of Sitting Down with Sgar. I'm the football voice of the Hoyas, Jeremy Hubert, joined by Georgetown head coach Rob Scarlatta. Coach Scarlatta's troops coming off a tough loss in Philly as they fall to Penn 42-39 in overtime, a thriller of a game up in the city of brotherly love, Coach.
Yeah, good to see you, Jeremy. Yeah, anytime that you can get to overtime in a game like that, it was a great battle between two really good teams. Unfortunately, we came out on the wrong end of it, but very proud with the way the kids played.
Coach, obviously no moral victories, but I think a much different result than the Columbia game, your first road game. Were there some differences in approach, both maybe you, coaching staff, team, that maybe led to a better result this time going on the road?
Yeah, you'd always like to say yes that you're getting better through the season. For us, we were very successful in the red zone against Penn. We were able to run the football as well. Really proud of how the kids played up front. Anytime that you can put up over 400 yards against a really good defense and run for 150, that's a good day for you. Most impressive for our players was there was a point there going in the fourth quarter where it was 36-20, and our guys battled back, played well in all three phases. Probably the best quarter of football we played all year, and we were able to put up 2-8 and get it to overtime. So, not satisfied with that. Just getting to overtime. Our expectation is to win. So we went back and looked at some things that we need to correct. As we're getting into next week.
Coach, and that was a big rally, as you talk about, for your guys. As you said, just a really good quarter of football from your guys. I thought one real key part of that, really even in the third quarter, after a couple calls go against you, it's one of those spots where a game could really start getting away from you. You have the big play from Tyler Knopp to Jimmy Kibble for the big touchdown pass to kind of get yourself back in range. Talk about that play and maybe how it gave you guys some juice.
Yeah, TK keeps plays alive. When I was a defensive coordinator, he's the kind of quarterback that would really bother me, keep me up at night. So it was a great scramble play. Jimmy got himself open and was able to, turn a broken play into a touch for us. So, very impressed just with how our kids kept coming back. We had some penalties that were some self-inflicted wounds, a couple things that hurt us, and I thought, the kids really didn't flinch, just kept coming out and playing and trusting the scheme and trusting what we were doing, to get us into a position to get to overtime.
And Rob, I wanted to piggyback off of that one. Jimmy gets the touchdown, but he gets the unsportsmanlike. Had a couple of those. I guess the best way is to call them poise penalties. Is there a way to kind of work those out? I know there's a lot of youthful exuberance on this team, but trying to make sure those guys know, hey, that 15 yards could be the difference between a win and a loss.
Yeah, we talked about the difference between the Fordham win and the Penn loss. It's 6 or 7 plays a game. All these games are the same in the Ivy League, Patriot League, CAA. If you watch, it's one of those things where we actually go over what you do when you score a touchdown, and we talk about having some poise and making sure that you act like you've been there before. So those are things that are absolutely unacceptable. Our players know it. We work on it, and if we can cut those types of mistakes in half going into the next game, we'll be in a lot better shape. But those are self-inflicted wounds that are unacceptable. So below the standard of what we're used to, and something that we have to clean up as we get into this next week.
Coach, let's get back to the good stuff. You mentioned the running game. You run for 166. You outgain a Penn team that's known for having some rugged guys up front on both sides of the ball. What's the line and the tight ends and the backs and even a little bit of TK doing right now to make this running game go?
It's a combination of all three things. I think the coach is doing a good job of putting us in position to have success running the ball. Up front, we've had a lot of different combinations of guys playing through some injuries and some different combinations with the offensive line, and they've just kept playing and playing hard. And then it's always a good thing when you have a couple backs can make people miss. So, the combination of those three things are the reason why we're ranked, in the top 25 and running the football. And hopefully that continues throughout the season.
And Coach, you mentioned that we saw some guys get banged up in the game on Saturday, and I was so impressed to see guys come in, really even get down to Greg Johnson, who you kind of called a Swiss Army knife for you guys before, but coming in and really still producing despite losing some key guys on that offensive line.
Yeah, we have a next man up mentality here, and we talk to the players. We have some guys that didn't travel on the first trip to Columbia, who are playing in games and playing major roles. So everybody in our program has a role to play, every coach, every staff member, and we emphasize that week in and week out that, when your number gets called, be ready to go. So, we're looking at that as an opportunity. I'm really impressed with how Coach Parton has done a good job of having our guys prepared to go in and take meaningful snaps in games. So, we're very, working through some depth issues, working through some youth issues. And those are things that I'm really happy with our guys coming in, not flinching, playing their role and giving us as many plays as we need, no matter what the position or, where you started within camp.
Coach, let's hop to the other side of the ball. Some folks would say 42 points, that's unacceptable. But I thought that defense did a good job, and sometimes against a really good passing attack. Aiden Sands, a heck of a quarterback, to kind of hold him in reasonable range there and get some big stops late. Can you assess what your defense did on Saturday?
Played tough. We gave up too many big plays, which is a huge part of our defense. That's something that, we gave up almost half the yards on about 11 big plays. So, for us, that's a point of pride. That's something that we work on every week. And like you said, in the fourth quarter, we came up with 2 big stops. Our kids played tough throughout the day. And that's something that's an expectation for us on defense. So, as you mentioned, the 40-plus points in a game, even with an overtime, is unacceptable. So, hopefully we can get back to, what we were doing against Fordham, and continue what we had success with doing in the fourth quarter of the Penn game.
Rob, one last one just for you. The special teams, and maybe more specifically, Patrick Ryan, thought had a pretty good game, some good kickoffs. He's punting as well. He also hits that big field goal in overtime for you from 50. Kind of assess his performance, and how do you go ahead and try and keep him fresh when he's doing so much for you?
Yeah, it's just like a pitch count. During the week, we're trying to make sure we do a good job and not overworking Pat. And, for him, get put in that situation in the overtime, we had success on first and second down. Unfortunately, we went backwards on third and came out and had confidence in putting him in that situation to kick his longest field goal. So, hopefully he continues his forward progress, throughout the season. But really impressed how he picked up all 3 phases for us on Saturday, and extremely happy for him because he works very hard at it, that he had success kicking the field goal in overtime for us.
One last question before we bring on Tyler Knopp. You take on Lehigh this week. The Mountain Hawks, you played a classic with them last year. You've had some trouble with them in the Lehigh Valley. Can you kind of assess what the Mountain Hawks bring to the table and why it's tough getting a win at Goodman Stadium?
I would say that they've been back-and-back battles. We went through every game, but going back to 2018 with the team, just to talk about how close this rivalry has been, with the exception of 1 year, they've been 1 2-point games. So, for us, it's about our improvement every week. Lehigh has faced a tough schedule. They had 2 CAA opponents, 2 Ivies, and played Merrimack. So, as you watch them, Coach Cahill's in his first year there has a great staff. They're doing a really good job, and you can see them improving week to week. And that's something that we pride ourselves on as well. So I think it's going to be a really evenly matched game, and looking forward to getting out there as a Goodman and playing.
Well, Coach, guy who's going to be a key to coming out of there with a win is your quarterback, Tyler Knopp. We're lucky enough to have TK as our guest on the Sitting Down with Sgar Spotlight this week. Tyler, good to see you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Again, loved having you on, and you've got such an interesting story here where you got some sporadic play, but you really kind of have waited your turn to finally get a chance under center, and I think the results are kind of speaking for themselves. What was that like for you, and do you feel now that all that waiting was worth it?
Yeah, no, yeah, I definitely feel like the waiting was worth it. It was definitely not easy coming in here and sitting for a long time after, playing in high school for a couple of years, being a 3-year starter. But, I think everything happens for a reason. And I think that it definitely helped prepare me mentally and physically for this moment now. So,
Coach, want to bring you back in on this where you look at Tyler's numbers, and it's just that steady incline all year. Early on, I might be throwing for, 130, 150. Now he's getting up in that 200 range, and I think some might forget TK is an upperclassman, but this is his first real playing time. How do you kind of assess what he is kind of incrementally keep building and building every week?
As I do this longer and longer, I learn more and more from my players, probably more than they learn from me. So TK is one of those guys that comes to work every day, puts the work in, And I think his partnership with Coach Spence and with our quarterback coach, Coach McDaniels, has been a really key to our success. I'll tell you this, if we sat back and threw it 40 times a game, he'd have a lot of success. So I think his versatility with allowing us to attack people where they're weakest in the run game or in the pass game is a huge asset. If you look at the end of the games against Fordham, and against Penn, he's doing a great job throwing the football. So, for me, his versatility and his ability to attack you both running the ball and running the offense, as well as throwing the ball is a huge asset for us and gives other teams a lot of trouble as they prepare for our offense.
TK, do you feel that a little bit when you're out there knowing that there may be, guys a little more careful in their rush because they know you're the element, or maybe guys are having to hang a little bit at defensive end instead of crashing and opening up some space? Do you kind of feel that as a quarterback, knowing that your legs are really a threat for the other team?
Yeah, I feel like maybe every once in a while, some games that they won't really let me keep the ball a whole lot in the zone read game. But other than that, just try to take it snap by snap, just game by game. And yeah, just really just break it down to whatever the read is right there, and try not to, I guess what they're going to do, but just read it out.
Let's follow that one up, TK. Coach mentioned both Coach Spence and Coach McDaniels, and really wanted to focus on Coach McDaniels, a young guy, but one that really has gotten a lot of love for what he's been able to do. What have you been able to learn from him? A guy who's not that much older than you, but really has kind of developed a good already as a guy can mentor quarterbacks. What have you been able to take from him?
No, yeah, working with Coach McDaniel has been great. He's done a great job all year preparing me, whether it's physically preparing me, getting me ready with film, staying after, whatever we have to do. He's done a great job all year. And then him also not being that much older than me, it's been great because, he quit playing ball a couple of years ago. So it's nice because he can relate. Yeah, it's been great working with Coach McDaniels.
You mentioned the responsibilities. I wanted to ask you about that. You go to Georgetown, so the academic load is a big deal, but also you're the quarterback of the football team. There's practice, there's meetings, there's film study. What's your schedule like, and how do you go about managing all of that successfully?
Yeah, luckily, I have a pretty light schedule this semester, but typically in years past, it's been very busy. For everybody on the team, I bet they have about 5 classes, meetings, practice, lift. So yeah, everything like you said is time management, how you balance it, and all that. You can really do it. It's just can you put aside the time and do it?
Scar, what's your best Tyler Knopp story?
There's a couple of them. The best thing about TK, I tell you, in all the stories is he's, very, very level-headed. The world could be burning down around us, and he just kind of comes to the sideline and says, we'll get this thing rolling. So I think his demeanor and the way he's run the offense for me has been the most impressive thing. And I'll bring this up. Our worst offensive output was at Columbia. We didn't play well in the red zone. We moved the football, and in the fourth quarter in a game that was out of reach, you had TK as a quarterback taking care of everybody but himself, and making sure that we were all set. Went back to the locker room. He found me and said, "Coach, we'll get this thing rolling." So that's what you want your quarterback. We talk about OP, which is play one play at a time. And it's been a, pleasure to watch him doing that, and really looking forward to just seeing how he continues to excel, and lead our offense and our team for that matter, for the rest of the season.
TK, last one for you. You come from the Lone Star State. Why Georgetown?
Man, 4 for 40. It's a great opportunity. You get the best of both worlds. Get to play Division I football. Live in Washington D.C. Get a great degree. It's kind of, I guess, more why not Georgetown. Yeah, it's a great opportunity. It's really just about the people you meet. You live in one of the best cities. Opportunities surrounding you everywhere. Just got to take advantage of it. So, yeah, why not Georgetown?
Well, I'll tell you what, TK, you've taken advantage of your opportunity this year on the field. Hope you do the same this week at Lehigh. Good luck this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's Tyler Knopp. And, of course, we say goodbye to Coach Scar, his squad, getting ready for that matchup against Lehigh on Saturday. Again, Coach, good luck. Look for you guys to go 2-0 in league play.
Great. Thanks, Jeremy.
That'll wrap it up for another edition of Sitting Down with Sgar. Remember, Georgetown back on the road this weekend against Lehigh, noon Eastern kickoff. See it in person if you're in the Lehigh Valley, or watch online at ESPN+. Thanks to Coach Scarlotta, our guest Hoya quarterback Tyler Knopp, and producer Eliza Kravitz. That's all for this edition of Sitting Down with Scar. I'm Jeremy Huber. Hoya Saxa.